make America great again. We've all heard it, we've all seen it, it's a little bit everywhere, but we're going to talk about who first said it. It was Ronald Reagan's campaign speech. And I'm going to let you know on how he pretty much single-handedly started ruining the middle class. Way back in the day, a couple people like Arm & Hammer, an oil tycoon and a billionaire, if this will click, Walter Annenberg owned a bunch of media and publishing companies, also a billionaire, and Earl Jorgensen of Jorgensen Steel Company, also a billionaire, close friend of Ronald Reagan. They got together and decided they didn't want to pay taxes no more. They couldn't figure out how they were going to do that until Earl said he knows a guy. Well, Ronald Reagan was, strangely enough, a union activist, supported the Hollywood Actors Guild and everything, fought for rights and protections, until General Electric decided to hire him to convince their workers to not go on strike and not ask for higher wages and not ask for protections. So he decided to do that because his acting career was starting to fail and he needed money. And they offered him a good bit of it, so he jumped right on it. And they called him the Great Communicator because he was convincing a bunch of poor people to do what rich people wanted them to. And when he started his campaign, he decided to go the path of Lyndon B. Johnson and make racism a big part of it without openly calling it racism. And he took this little quote to heart. I'm not going to read it. Y'all can read it. But it's a crazy thing to say out loud. And especially in a way somebody can write it down and record you. But he took this to heart. And he heard about a woman named Linda Taylor. Rachel Black and Aletta Sprague, in their September 2016 article, wrote about Linda, and she committed welfare fraud. She had over 80 different aliases, a bunch of different addresses, and she claimed to be making about $150,000 a year in government assistance, which is a crazy amount. She was the pretty much worst case, and he clung to it and decided to make the welfare queen slur. And from there, it just kind of spiraled. He made all these people believe that people of color were the problem and stealing their money and tax money and all this stuff by being on welfare, when in reality, about 57% of white people were on welfare at the time. And then he started union busting. He made promises to a bunch of unions that he would increase their protections while he was president, got their votes, and immediately started going back on it. This is from the Air Traffic Controllers Guild during their protests and for their union. They wanted more money, they wanted better protections, and he instead decided to fire 11,000 of them. It was a huge issue, caused some problems with ATC and everything, but he went back on pretty much everything that he promised. And then turned around and dropped the tax rate for the richest people in the country. Prior to Reagan, the richest were getting taxed at 70%. After him, 28%. He dropped it hard. And he tried to claim, the way he convinced people to let him do this was he claimed that it was going to solve the recession. But he's a smart man, and economists know about what they call the heartbeat of the economy. Scott Walla, in his 2023 article, wrote about it, that every time there's a recession, regardless, because it's the natural progress of the economy, it will have a massive spike afterwards. And he was banking on this. The recession was going to fix itself. He claimed that this tax break is what fixed it. So, but usually when there's a spike, the workers start making more money. That wasn't the case. In this situation, because of what he did, the rich 1% started making ridiculous amounts of money while all the workers kept basically the same pay. And as you see here, everybody was fairly even, more or less, across the board as far as income growth. It all the way to here to 1980 when Reagan happened, and it split massively. This goes all the way to 2014, where the top 0.1% had an insane growth, whereas everybody else is still pretty much at the bottom. And because of this, now we are in the state that we're at. Nobody can afford anything. The rich people keep getting richer, not paying taxes, and it's just getting worse and worse. And we currently have to live in this nightmare where it's just getting worse. They're bringing up race again. They're dividing everybody over it. And the rich are just getting richer.